Good morning, Rise and Grind besties. It's Danganronpa time. This time, I am going to be ranking Danganronpa characters based on whether or not they commit tax evasion. The usual rules apply. Here are the categories. No, does not commit tax evasion, has an accountant. No, does not commit tax evasion, but does their own taxes. Yes, they commit tax evasion, but because they fucked up doing their own taxes. Negligent tax evasion, they just don't pay them or do them or file or anything. They're just lazy. And malicious evasion, offshore accounts, money laundering. Like, you're not just evading your taxes, you're playing with dirty money. Yeah. Also, for those of you who are frustrated about my lack of Danganronpa 3 content, I am this close away from finishing the game. I'm so close. I'm there. I'm at the end. So, very soon. The Imposter. No tax evasion. The Imposter has an accountant. Chiaki. No, she does her own taxes. Which might surprise you, because Chiaki can be, not lazy, but she's very sleepy, and the only thing she puts effort into is video games. I think she thinks of it like a game. Like, she kind of puts off her taxes for a little bit, but she's like, oh, if I think of it as like a visual novel, or maybe a point-and-click game, then that's fine. Fuyuhiko. I can't decide if Fuyuhiko should go in no, has an accountant, or malicious tax evasion, because Fuyuhiko as a person, he's a straight-edge rule follower, but he's also in the mafia. I'm gonna say no, has an accountant. Fuyuhiko's personal money is clean, but not the mob, baby. Mondo. Yes, because he fucked up doing it himself. He's not 100% sure what all the terms mean, and he needs Taka to help him. Byakuya! Obviously, Byakuya has an accountant.
Being gay isn't your choice, it's mine. You're gay now.
Gundam Tanaka. Gundam commits negligent tax evasion because, for whatever reason, Gundam believes that your job pays your taxes for you, and because he doesn't work anywhere, he's self-employed with his animal situation. He's just like, well, there's no boss to pay my taxes, therefore that doesn't apply to me. And Sonia, has to explain to him, like, no, you're just self-employed. You definitely still have to pay your taxes. Gundam does not want to pay his taxes, and he especially doesn't want to, back pay his taxes. Like, if you realize that you haven't paid your taxes in a couple of years, you can't just skip to this year. You gotta backfill, especially if you're a business owner, or like a sole proprietor, or, a freelancer, or whatever Gundam would be considered, tax-wise. But then Sonia phrases it like, you are now indebted to the Dark Lords, known as the IRS. And then Gundam's like, Gundam Tanaka shall never be in debt to dark forces. And then he does his taxes. Junko. Obviously, Junko is laundering money and has offshore accounts and the whole 9 yards. Junko isn't just evading her taxes. She doesn't have a single dollar to her name that's clean. Hajime does his own taxes. Hajime doesn't have a lot going on tax-wise. Doing your own taxes is pretty easy as long as your life is simple. I do my own taxes because I am a legally single person with a job, and that's it. Like, I don't have anything crazy going on with my taxes, so I can just do it all myself. Same thing goes for Hajime. Monokuma. Negligent tax evasion. Monokuma commits negligent tax evasion. He just doesn't pay them. Believe it or not, Monokuma is disinterested in crimes that are not murder. Seems kind of high effort. Why would I be laundering money and having offshore accounts when I can just be killing teenagers? I don't know why I make Monokuma Southern. It just feels right to me. It's because I watched the Game Grumps play Danganronpa, and the voice that Aaron gives Monokuma is extremely reminiscent of his Larry the Cable Guy impression. But he's also not going to put in the effort to pay taxes because he is a robot bear and doesn't give a single fuck. Sonia has an accountant. She is definitely intelligent enough and patient enough to do her own taxes, even though they are vastly complicated because she is a princess, but she just doesn't have time for that. Sakura. Sakura does not commit tax evasion, and she does her own taxes. She finds it, soothing. Makoto. Makoto commits tax evasion because he fucked up doing his taxes. For some reason, taxes make Makoto's brain go blank, and every question he has to ask Kyoko, and he's like, does this mass energy save thing apply to me? And Kyoko's like, are you a homeowner in the state of Massachusetts? And he's like, no. And she's like, then no. After watching Makoto attempt to do his own taxes once, Kyoko just sends all of his shit to her accountant. Sayaka. Believe it or not, Sayaka, despite being an international pop star, does her own taxes. She finds it, like Sakura, she kind of enjoys it. I don't know, sit down for an hour, answer some questions on the computer, look at paperwork. It feels very normal to her, which is nice when you're like an international pop star. Aoi, yes, because she fucked up doing her taxes herself. Aoi's not dumb, but she is impatient. So she puts it off and puts it off and puts it off, and then Sakura is like, you need to do your taxes. I'm running out of time. So she just like flies through it, and then she's like, wow, I owe a lot of money this year. And Sakura's like, you shouldn't owe that much money. And she looks into it, and Aoi just like randomly clicked through all the questions. And she's like, no, Sakura's like, no, you actually have to... Okay. After Aoi fucks up doing her taxes, from there forward, Sakura makes Aoi do it with her. Alter Ego. Alter Ego probably doesn't have taxes, as they are in computer AI. But if Alter Ego was to have taxes to pay, they would do it themselves, because why would a computer AI have an accountant? Kyoko. Kyoko has an accountant. She doesn't mind doing her own taxes, but as a detective, she does a lot of freelance work, and that is a lot of paperwork and a lot of time, and it is just much easier to pay somebody a couple $100 to do it for her. Ibuki. Ibuki is committing negligent tax evasion. She just doesn't pay them. For whatever reason, Ibuki assumes that the money automatically comes out of whatever money she makes, and it just goes to the government, and somebody has to point out to her that she's not employed by anyone, she's self-employed, and like music venues just write her a check. And she's like, yeah, aren't the taxes taken out of that? And it's like, no, the music venue owners are not paying your taxes for you. Like, she just kind of assumes, she's like, this is my job, therefore my employer is taking the taxes out for me. And everyone's like, Buki, you don't have an employer. Peko. Peko has an accountant. Not that she couldn't do it herself, but she just... Accountant, whatever. Let the professionals handle it. Akane. Akane commits negligent tax evasion. She just doesn't think about it. It just doesn't occur to her that she's supposed to file her taxes. Like, if Akane had a job where she had an employer, and wasn't like a self-employed freelancer like a lot of these characters would be, she would know that the employer took the taxes out, but it wouldn't occur to her to file, so things would get a little funky. Leon. Negligent evasion. Leon is trying very hard to be punk rock instead of a baseball player. So every time he does anything, he's like, would this be what a rock and roller would do? Rock and rollers wouldn't file their taxes. And then eventually someone's like, Leon, fucking file your goddamn taxes. Celeste. This entire video is because I needed to put Celeste at the bottom of the barrel. The offshore accounts and the money laundering isn't a strong enough word for what Celeste is doing. If there's a way to dirty some money, Celeste is doing it. Everything. Every possible way you could have dirty money. That's what Celeste is up to. And she never, ever gets caught. Chihiro. Chihiro has an accountant because they would much rather be programming than spending any time doing their taxes, so. Nekomaru. Nekomaru does it himself. Despite his demeanor, Nekomaru is not stupid, so he can sit down and have the patience to do his own taxes. I don't think he'd, like, rush through it or fuck it up. Mihiru. Mihiru does her own taxes. She doesn't like it or dislike it necessarily. It's just, like, another chore to her, just a part of her day. Like, okay, let's sit down for an hour and do my taxes. And surprisingly, she does not fuck it up, even though she's a freelancer, and therefore her taxes would be far more complicated. I personally think that part of what makes Mihiru the best photographer is that she works entirely solo. She does not have like a firm or people working for her or anything. Like, she does not delegate any part of her work to anyone else. She, like, call her control freak if you want. It's 100% her, even her finances. And because she has no overhead or no editors or no one being like, whatever, that's how she puts out the best photographs 100% of the time, because there's nobody, like, hindering her. And, like, yeah, sure, maybe having a finance person would lighten the load a little, and that wouldn't constrict her in any way, but that's how she does her business, so what can you do? Azuru. Azuru is committing negligent tax evasion. He would not waste his time paying or filing taxes, but also he doesn't care to be malicious about it. Both options are stupid and boring, so he's just not going to do any of that. Negligent tax evasion. Just doesn't pay him. Doesn't file. Doesn't care. Whatever. Hifumi. Hifumi does his own taxes and he doesn't fuck them up. He kind of likes it because he gets to reminisce on all the work he's done that year. Like, any freelance stuff, anything like that. He, like, is compiling all of it, and he's like, oh, I remember that comic, I remember that thing that I wrote. Like, he kind of likes it. It's like a end-of-year wrapped for him. Mukuru Ikusaba. Negligent evasion. Junko uses her to dirty money, like opening credit cards and bank accounts in her name or whatever, but Mukuru doesn't care to actually launder money herself. She doesn't care. She just lets Junko use her and ruin her credit for her own nefarious purposes, but Mukuru herself is just, like, not doing anything. Mikan. Yes, because she fucked it up doing it herself. Poor Mikan. She's so nervous about accidentally committing tax evasion that she does accidentally commit tax evasion. And, the panic attack that she has when she realizes that she fucked up is monumental. Teru Teru. Teru Teru has an accountant. He has an accountant for the restaurant, and he uses that same accountant for his own personal taxes. Hiro. Hiro is not paying taxes. Negligent tax evasion. He's just not paying them. It just doesn't occur to him. Just like how I came up with the malicious evasion category because I knew Celeste would go there, I came up with the negligent evasion because I knew Hiro would belong there. Soda. Yes, because he fucked up doing it himself. Every year, Soda files his own taxes. When he gets to the end, there's a big red, you fucked up somewhere, please review. And he always needs to, like, call in somebody to help him. And every year, everybody's like, okay, Soda, do you want to, like, sit down with us and we'll all do it together? And Soda's like, no, I've learned this time. I can do my own taxes. Spoiler warning, no, he can't. Toko. I'd imagine that such a famous novelist would have an accountant. She has money, people. Toko is going in, no, she has an accountant. Nagito. Nagito has an accountant, but the accountant is a money launderer and has offshore accounts. So, Nagito is inadvertently a tax evader, because that's the kind of shit that would happen to him. So he's going in no, has an accountant, but with Nagito's luck, not even having an accountant will save you. Genocide Jack / Jill. What taxes would she even have to pay? She's a serial murderer who shares a body with someone else. I'm gonna put her in negligent evasion, doesn't pay him, because what? This bitch doesn't even have a job. She kills people with scissors. Hiyoko. Hiyoko, yes, because she fucks it up doing it herself. She is very impatient and easily frustrated by trying to do taxes herself, but too prideful to get an accountant. Mihiru catches on and helps her every year. Hiyoko tries to just pawn it off onto Mihiru and be like, oh, Mihiru, I can't do it. You should just do it for me. And because both Mihiru and Hiyoko would be freelancers in this situation, I think Hiyoko would be. I don't really know how the traditional Japanese dance world works, but so that's very time consuming. It's like an all-day affair, multiple days even, for them to do their taxes. And Mihiru's like, I'm not going to do your taxes, but we're going to do them together. Mihiru is like, it'll be like a bonding time. We get to hang out and do this thing together. And then Hyoko's like, okay, Taka. You better believe Taka has an accountant. Of course, Taka is patient enough and intelligent enough to file his own taxes, but I think that Taka is a strong believer in hiring professionals to do their own professional work, even if it is something he can do himself. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel like Taka would be like, well, that's what an accountant is for, and that is their work, and I'm going to support them in their work. Like a really normal and less intense version of Nagito's, like, let your ultimate talent shine! I think Taka would be very supportive of people using their ultimate talents and, you know, like, doing their jobs, even if the job is, like, a normal, non-ultimate job. Plus, Taka is very into finding, like, people just starting out in their fields and supporting them. So Taka finds some, like, fresh graduate who, like, just got their degree in accounting and is having trouble finding clients because they're so new. And Taka would hire that person and be like, I will be your first person, I will recommend you, that kind of thing. All right. That is everybody, and this is what we've got. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.